safe. I would like to welcome you for this session with Brenden, where we are going to talk about the art of public speaking, tips and tricks to master your communication skills. Today's event is brought to you by Designhill, world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike. You can source high quality designs from professional designers and buy unique products created by independent artists. I think there is some trouble at the back end. Once again. So guys, moving ahead, let me introduce our speaker for today. We have with us Brenden Kumarasamy. Brenden is the founder of MasterTalk, a YouTube channel he started to help the world with communication and public speaking skills. As an experienced speaker and facilitator, Brenden understands that audience members need to walk away captivated and above all, inspired to master the art of communication. It should be seen as something to look forward rather than a burden that must be overcome. Thank you so much, Brenden, for taking out time from your schedule and joining us today for this event. Can you please say a quick hi to the audience?
Of course, Robin. It's great to be here, everyone. Really love the professionalism of this group. Love the amazing energy. I'm seeing so many comments here. So it's great to be here, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Great, man. Great. So guys, before we start the session, there is a big announcement. We are giving away certificates to the attendees, but for that, you would have to stick till the end. So brace yourself and stay tuned till the very end. Also, you can take the screenshot of this event and post it on your Twitter and tag Designhill DH and Master Talks. One lucky winner will have a chance to win a print shop gift card worth $50. Also, we will be sharing an exclusive coupon code with everyone at the end of the session, using which you can avail a 15% discount to shop on print shop. Stay tuned. All right, so before we start the session, let's quickly look at what Designhill is all about.
Need to get your parents off your back? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When I started my photography business, I needed
off your back. Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When I started my photography business, I needed something that said this was more than just a hobby. It's not a hobby, Mom. That's why I went to Designhill and got an amazing logo super fast at a price I could afford. The process was easy using Designhill's logo maker. Just enter the name of your business, then pick out a number of designs that inspire you. I'll pick this one and that one looks cute. Then pick your colors or let the system decide. Add some more info like a slogan, the industry your business is in, and your budget. The logo maker, using machine learning and artificial intelligence, will design thousands of logo variants that you can choose from and adapt. In fact, I was able to get everything from business cards to t-shirt design and complete social media kit, all with the click of a button. With that, I'm all set. Now everyone I meet knows I'm a legit photographer. Even my mom. It's real. That's decaf.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill. Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill.
That was awesome. Am I good to get started, Robin? Feel free to just nod. Okay, cool. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Awesome, everyone. I hope... Oh, you're muted, by the way, Robin. You're muted. There you go. Let me go ahead and get started then.
Yeah, you can take over the session, Brenden, and we are good to go.
Perfect. Can you see my screen, Robin? Can you just... Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, I hope you're all having a great day. It's great to be here, everyone. And I'm really excited to give you a presentation on how to master the art of communication and public speaking. But before I get there, I'd love to give a disclaimer. And that disclaimer is the following. The way that I speak is not necessarily the right one. You know, there's a lot of people who are really loud like me. They go to events all the time. They go to different parties. And a huge portion of the people I speak to lie on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're introverted. They're shy. they would much rather read a book than come to a workshop like this. So the reason I'm saying that is because the tips that I'm going to be sharing today apply for any type of speaker. Whether you're someone really extroverted like me who has a lot of energy, or someone who's really introverted who'd rather read a book, these tips will apply for all of you. So with that said, let's get started. Much like every second generation immigrant, our job is really simple. Get a great job, get a good education, so hopefully we can provide a better opportunity for our families. And I wasn't any different. Growing up in Montreal, Canada, I got all the best grades in school. There was in sciences or math or different subjects. But when it came to public speaking, this is a more accurate representation of who I was. So now the question is, why? Why is someone like me, who is this extroverted, this energetic, why was I scared of communication my whole life? And the reason is because growing up in a city like Montreal, you need to know how to speak French. And I didn't know how to speak it. And you need to know it to do well in the city. So my parents looked at me one day when I was 5 years old and they said, Brenden, you need to learn how to speak French. And I just said, what? So for the first 15 years of my education, not only was I uncomfortable with presentations, I had to deliver them in a language I didn't even know. So imagine all the stress, all the anxiety that comes from that. And that is where my journey started. And this journey has a simple message to it. And that message is simple. I believe that public speaking is a learned skill. It's not something you're born with. We know that leaders are created, not born, through a series of life experiences. And I believe to be the same for public speaking. That's exactly what I'm here to convince all of you of today. Hi, everyone. My name is Brenden Kuarsami. I'm the founder of MasterTalk. It's a YouTube channel I started to help the world master the art of communication and public speaking. And today, I'm going to be sharing all of my best tips and tricks on how you can master the art of communication and public speaking. So today I want to be covering silences, ums and ahs, audience mastery, eye contact, and mirroring. And then I'll leave 15 minutes at the end for any questions and answers. And I'm happy to go through that with the team. So let's go ahead and talk about silences. I want you all to imagine your favorite speaker. Whether that speaker is Sir Ken Robinson on why schools could do a better job at instilling creativity in the curriculum, or Angela Duckworth's on the importance and power of grit. All of our favorite speakers share one thing in common, and that commonality is their ability to pause. Their ability to pause effectively to drive core points of their message. And it's that pause that makes them so exceptional. But of course, there's no point of just me telling you that. I think it's much easier if I just proved it. So what I'm going to do with this slide is I'm going to present it in two different ways. I'm going to present it with pauses, and I'm going to present it without pauses so that we can see the difference and then compare the two. Pausing, not pausing, what does the difference look like? So what I'm going to do with version 1 is I'm going to present it without pausing so we can see what it looks like. And then go ahead and type it in the chat. Out of 10, what would you think that is? So with that said, let's go ahead and try example number 1 without pausing. It would sound something like this. Amit Kalandri, author of the book Run Machine, once said that if you fulfill the wishes of your employees, they in turn will fulfill your vision. But what is your vision at Vitality Health? Your vision is to keep A players like Mike within the business, accelerate company growth so that one day you can become a world leader in nutritional products and services. But what's stopping you from achieving this vision today? One, conflicts between your employees will persist if you don't remove the stack ranking system within Vitality Health. This will lead to disengaged employees, no innovation within the business, and a high turnover rate and a large financial impact for Vitality. But as long as you never forget that every single one of your employees is a star, we believe that you'll always be successful. Structure HR policies, training, assessing, and retaining. So in the chat, feel free to just type, what did you think of that 2 slider out of 10? And I usually get 3 types of audiences. Audience number 1 is going to say something like this. Oh, Brenden, that was like a 7 or an 8. That was great. You're a great speaker. It's probably people who've been watching my YouTube videos. Audience number 2 are people who are a bit more honest with me. They would say something like, well, Brenden, that was like a 3. That was like a 5. That was a 6. You spoke way too quickly. And then you get audience number 3. So audience number 3 was a Sunday morning. I remember I was waking up and I was giving a workshop for a bunch of teenage girls, like between the ages of 9 and 16. And I came to that workshop and I asked them the same question. I said, girls, what did you think of this? 1 to 10. And I got tumbleweeds. Nobody answered the question. And there's one person in the back who raises her hand. And I go, finally, after 3 hours of yelling at these people, I finally get a hand raise. So I asked her, I said, Julia, what did you think of the presentation? And she looks at me and goes, 5. And I asked her, I said, why'd you give me a 5, Julia? And then Julia goes, well, Brenden, you're too quick and you're too fast and nobody understood what you're saying and what the heck is even going on anyways? And Julia was absolutely right. I went way too quickly with the slides. The points were too fast. And really, what the heck was even going on anyways? But I asked Julia the same question I'm going to ask all of you. That question is, what if I presented the exact same information with pauses, with silences? How would it be different? How would the content change? How would the delivery change? Well, it would sound something like this. Amit Kalandri, author of the book Run Machine, once said that if you fulfill the wishes of your employees, they in turn will fulfill your vision. But what is your vision at Vitality Health? Your vision is to keep A players like Michael within the business, accelerate company growth so that one day you can become a world leader in nutritional products and services. But what's stopping you from achieving this vision today? Conflicts between your employees will persist if you don't remove the stack ranking system within Vitality Health. Disengaged employees and no innovation. Employees like Michael that we cherished will start to leave the company. And finally, number 3, high turnover and a large financial impact for the business. Michael will start to leave in droves, and that's when we're going to see high turnover rate. But as long as we never forget that every single one of our employees is a star, we believe at Flow Consulting Group that you'll always be successful. That's why we're proud and excited to present our star recommendation, structuring your HR policies for success, training and communicating to all stakeholders, assessing for success, and retaining to progress. We believe that the same smile that Michael had in his face will remain until his last. Much better, right? Feel free to type in the chat how that was out of 10. A lot better, right? It's probably not a 5 anymore. It's probably more like an 8 or a 9 or a 10. But the better question we need to ask ourselves is why? Why do we not use silences? We know pausing is important. Everyone's doing them. All of our best speakers do them. So why don't we? Why don't we pause effectively in our presentations? The answer is pretty simple. It's right here. Think about it. Most of the presentations you've given in your life are at school. And on top of that, they're all mandatory. You don't wake up one morning and say, let me go and present all day for fun. Nobody says that. It's what really happens is you're in high school, teacher looks at you and goes, hey, Brenden, Robin, everyone, I need you to present a topic on the Renaissance. And you're sitting there thinking, what's a Renaissance? Is that like a fruit? Then you find out later that it's a time period in history. So what do? You go back to the drawing board. You say, hey, I want to deliver a great presentation. So you come up with all these great ideas. You have all this excitement, and then you present to a buzzkill of an audience. I mean, it's not their fault. They're a bunch of high schoolers who don't really want to be there, who don't want to be in that setting. And that is where the fear of communication comes from. Every time we're always presenting to audiences who don't want to hear us. We're always communicating our message to people who don't want to be there. All your school presentations are exactly like that. So when you pause, the opposite reaction happens. You're scared. And we're scared because, well, Brenden, when I pause, doesn't it mean that my audience doesn't know what I'm talking about? Of course not. But because our audiences are always not willing to listen, especially in high school when it's not really their fault, that's where the challenge ensues. That's where the challenges around communication come forward. And that is the crux of the issue. So how do you master silences? How do you get better at this skill? Very simple. Exceptional presenters use silences as a weapon to make their presentations better. So for you to work on that, all you got to do is practice long pauses and stares. And I'll give you a great example of this. One of my friends, Kevin, that I used to do a competition with back in university, me and him used to present in front of all of these executives. It would go up against all these different universities. So the way that we would practice this is me and him would stand in front of a classroom, and then the first couple of seconds, I would just pause him a little bit. But then what I would do is I would pause him for a very long period of time. So he's sitting there thinking, oh, Brenden, it's such a dumb exercise. So he pauses for 2 seconds. Then he pauses for 10 seconds. Then after 15 seconds, he starts to look away, and I go, Kevin, you got to keep looking at me. And then I make him pause for 40 seconds, 60 seconds. Then after 2 minutes, he's twitching on the floor. That was just a joke. But the point I want to drive is that the best communicators on the planet can pause forever and never make it seem awkward at all. So if you want to learn how to master pauses for 5 seconds in a presentation, learn to pause for 5 minutes. So how does that work? The way that works is you go up to somebody that you love, you go up to someone that you care, that cares about you, that cares about what you do. You sit down with them and you pause for 5 minutes. Most people can't last that long. They can't last for 5 minutes. But if you want to be exceptional, if you want to get better at pausing, you need to learn to pause for very, very long periods of time. Now let's go into ums and ahs. Brenden. How do we get rid of the pesky words in our vocabulary? How do you get rid of that stuff? The way you get rid of them is by understanding the following. We need to understand the mindset between what are the great speakers doing that we're not. And by looking at this text, looking at the screen, it gives us a much better idea on how to filter through all of this. So let's get started. Average speaker versus exceptional speaker. We're both going to forget what we want to say next. I don't have an amazing memory. I'm not Jim Quick. I don't know what I'm going to say next as much as you do. So naturally, we're both going to think about it and get nervous. What am I supposed to say next? I'm not really sure. So we start to get nervous. But the difference lies in the third bubble. And the third bubble is that the average speaker forgets what they want to say next, thinks about it and gets nervous, and then says filler words to buy time. Whereas the exceptional speaker, they forget what they want to say next. So naturally, they think about it and they get nervous. But the difference is that they say nothing to buy time. Absolutely nothing. And that's the secret. Exceptional presenters replace their ums and ahs with silences. So if those of you realize, the first and the second tip that I shared are one in the same, because the better that you get at pausing in your presentations, the better you get at using more silences, the less filler words that you'll say. So you're better off saying nothing and maintaining eye contact with your audience like so, versus saying filler words and deviating eye contact. So now that we understand that, how do we actually practice this? How do we actually get better at pausing and saying less filler words? So this sentence gives you an example of how to practice this. John loves apples. He has one every day to keep the doctor away. So when you start practicing ums and ahs, when you start practicing filler words and getting rid of them, it's very challenging, right? Because you can't really control it. So at the beginning, it's going to sound something like this. John loves apples. He has one every day to keep the doctor away. Sorry about that. But then after that, after you get better, then the next level is saying, okay, how do I pause at any cost? John loves apples. He has one every day to keep the doctor away. So notice I'm forcing myself to pause. I'm forcing myself to pause. That's the technique. That's the trick. And if you do that, I think you'll be exceptional at communication. But understand that it takes time. I didn't master my ums and ahs right away. You have to keep practicing over and over again until you get it right. And then as you get better as a speaker, you can start to weave in silences more impactfully in your presentations. So I'm sure a lot of you are thinking right now, oh, wow, Brenden, that's easy for you to say. You're a speaker, you're doing all these things. How am I supposed to get better at this? So let me give you some words of encouragement. A lot of people, when they look at this slide and how I present it, they go, wow, Brendan's such a good improviser. He just showed up, he improvised this amazing presentation, and that's how he got really good. But here's what you don't know. Everything I do in this presentation is artificial. I have presented this one slide 200 times. Let me repeat that again. I have presented this one slide 200 times. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this for two reasons. One, because it's important, but two, because you can do it too. And if you still don't believe me, I'll literally tell you the secret. For this slide, I do the same thing all the time. I pause for 3 seconds. I say the Amit Kalandri quote. If you fill the wishes of the thing, they'll fulfill your life. And then I ask them, what's stopping you from achieving the vision? Point number 1, 2-second pause. Point number 2, 2-second pause. Point number 3, 2-second pause. Star. Everything is made in advance. Nothing's improvised here, which means you could do the same thing. You could look at all your presentations, present the same thing over and over and over and over again, pause at specific moments of the presentation, and that's it. You're done. And if you just apply these 2 tips that I've shared with you today, you'll be an amazing communicator. And you will be an amazing communicator because most people can't do that right. If you do that, I think you'll be incredible. So then let me just go through the audience mastery, and then in 5 to 10 minutes, we'll take a quick commercial break. So let's go into master your audience. I want you all to imagine this rose. This beautiful, beautiful rose. So elegant, so beautiful, so lovely, so great. Roses mean different things to different people. To some it means respect. To others it means love. To some it means romance. And with that clear image of a rose in your head, let's talk about audience mastery. The key to presentations is simple, everyone. The quality of your presentation lives and dies by how engaged your audience is. Think about this presentation. A lot of you have meetings, clients, exams, schedules, commitments. So how do we as speakers break through the noise? How do we break through the noise of how we want to be as speakers? And a lot of you are looking at this rose and are asking me, why is a consultant at IBM sharing a rose on a screen? The answer is very simple. 2 reasons. 1, so I can tell you that because it's funny and I wanted to do it. But the second reason was to tell you a story. When I was in university and I was giving workshops on this topic and I was presenting to these young girls, I didn't know how to get them interested in speaking to me. I was presenting in front of these 15-year-old girls. They didn't want to listen to anything about communication. So what did I do? I brought a bouquet of roses to the presentation. So when I brought a bouquet of roses to the presentation, they all looked at me and they said, wow, Brenden, you're so incredible. And I was able to get their attention. So what's the point I want to drive here? Is the point that you should bring roses to your presentations? Probably not. But the point is simple. The more you understand your audience, the better you'll be. And the more you dive into the psychology of that audience, the more successful you'll become. Here are some 3 easy questions you can ask yourself before you take a quick commercial break. Number 1, what is the goal of your presentation? What are you trying to achieve in that presentation? Well, you try and sell somebody. It's very different than teaching somebody. Number 2 is who is your audience and what are their needs and expectations? The way that you speak to different people will change if that person is a 5-year-old girl or a 50-year-old woman. Third question, how do we meet their needs in a way that gets them excited to talk about our ideas? It's easy to get content together on a slide, but it's hard to deliver it in a way that's effective that gets people excited to hear you. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Go ahead, Robin.
All right. So guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the session. And before we move forward, I would like to give a quick shout out to Designhill, world's creative marketplace, for organizing this event. And guys, stay tuned and we will be right back to hear some more amazing tips from Brenden.
Claremax is a full-service video agency based around video production. We created a brand that fit our identity at the time, but as we've evolved as a company, we found that original brand didn't quite fit our aspirations anymore. Finding a partner to rebrand your entire company takes a lot of time and effort. Finding Designhill was an incredible lifeline. Designhill offers a money-back guarantee. If we don't like any of the designs, we get all of our money back. The stuff that we ended up with were well beyond what we had been seeing on other creative services platforms. After creating a simple design brief by answering some questions created by Designhill, we posted, and within a few days, we had over 250 entries. Designhill's platform made it easy to communicate with all the potential designers. Eventually, we picked a winner. In addition to a logo, our designer also created a letterhead,
we are back again.
cards, and banners.
Let's continue with the session.
Platforms. With Designhill's help,
Over to you,
we now
Brenden.
have a brand that meets our aspirations. We're ready for the future and everything that it's here to bring.
Thanks, Robin. Perfect. Back to the presentation. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go back to where we were around audience mastery. So just summarizing what we learned so far. We talked about silences. We talked about ums and ahs. We talked about audience mastery. So now the next piece is the last 2, and then we'll open up to some Q&A in 10 minutes. Eye contact. Okay. Eye contact is fairly simple in the virtual world. All you got to do is keep your eyes on the camera lens. Notice how my eyes are always staring at the lens directly. So I could look anywhere else and I don't seem credible. So you have to keep your eyes on the lens at all times. That's how you become successful. And that's it. And then you'll win. Now let's talk about mirroring. I want you all to imagine the following scenario. Let's say you're waking up in the morning, you're getting ready for work, getting ready for different things in your life. And you look at a mirror, because naturally you got to go to the bathroom, got to get ready for the day. There's 2 energies in which you'll show up that day. Number 1, you'll show up with positivity. You'll go, wow, today's amazing. I get to see Brenden give a presentation. I get to see all these different things today. I get to see a great education. I get to spend time with my family, get to do some meetings with people I love. Your day's amazing. And that energy gets projected onto everyone else around you. But the opposite is also true. This day sucks. Oh my God, I got to listen to this Brenden guy give a presentation. Then I got to spend time with my family. So notice how the opposite is also true. When we have negative energy, that energy also gets projected onto everyone else. So what's the punchline, everyone? The punchline is simple. The mirror you look at in the bathroom isn't just a mirror. It is the very thing that you are, because as speakers, we are mirrors. We reflect our own emotions to the audiences that we present to. So the question is very simple. Which emotions will you choose? Most speakers, they pick boredom. When they project their energy, they project their passion onto everyone else. And what I really want to push today is I want you to start thinking about calmness excitement, because those emotions that you're feeling on a day when you're presenting are the emotions that your audiences will remember. And that choice of which emotions to choose is entirely yours. Let's recap. A lot of people ask me for book recommendations on communication, public speaking. They go, Brenden, what can I do to learn communication more? What can I do to work on it? And that's why I highly recommend this book called Thirst by Scott Harrison. I think Scott is an amazing guy. He's an incredible storyteller, and he's someone you all want to get to know. He has an incredible book that I have 2 copies of in my house and that I gift to people who want to get better at communication. So if that's something you want to do, check out the book. It's an incredible piece of work. And a lot of people recommended the book, like Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Brene Brown, and Arianna Huffington. So that's Thirst by Scott Harrison. Check it out. So let's go ahead and recap what we learned today. Silences. The power of pausing. If we pause effectively in the message that we have to share with the world, we can achieve great things in the world. So pause effectively and use that pause to share your ideas with the world. Ums and ahs. Filler words. Blah, blah, like that gets in the way of our presentations. And once we learn to pause effectively, the number of filler words will start to go down. Audience mastery isn't just about buying a bouquet of roses to your audience. It's about using the psychology of who they are, understanding where they're from, what they want to achieve in life, and using that as the vehicle for change. And saying, because of who they are, because of where they want to be, I need to communicate a certain message back to them. Eye contact. All you got to know is keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on the lens, and you'll be very successful. And finally, mirroring. Remember that mirrors are not just the thing you look at in the morning, they're the very thing that you are. So if you go out there and share your ideas with the world, if you go out there and share something important and you choose the right emotions, you will excel at communication and you'll have something important to share. If there's anything I can leave you off with in this webinar, it's the following. Public speaking is a learned skill. You aren't born with it, because I guarantee you, I definitely want it. And if you understand that leadership works in the same way as public speaking, through shared experience, I think you can go from the 5-year-old kid I once was to the first presentation I gave with the suit and a tie that, let's just say, didn't end at my belt, to being the communicator that I am, so that you too can be the champions of what you want to do in life and do incredible things with the art of public speaking. Thank you so much, everyone. For those of you who want to continue following my journey, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. All you got to do is type MasterTalk in one word on YouTube. You can find me just there, and you can message me anywhere on my socials. I'm more than happy to get in touch with you. Thank you so much, everyone. Love to open the floor to questions.
All right, all right. So Brenden, I must say that was a great presentation, and you really covered some important topics about communication. That I also learned a lot about communication and art of public speaking, and I hope the audience loved it that too. So let's come to the questions. The audience, there are some questions from our audience. So let's quickly look what they have to ask. So you can come on the questions tab.
Yep, I got it.
So,
Perfect. Let's go from the bottom, I guess.
Yeah, we can start from the bottom. So Liza. So I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry. So uh, Liza is asking how to avoid getting nervous when speaking in public. What can you say to someone who get easily nervous when speaking in public?
That's a great question. I think what I would say, Liza, is the fear of communication is normal, right? All of us have given, think about all the presentations you've given in your life were not for fun, right? We don't wake up in the morning and go, hey, Robin, you want to get breakfast and present all day? Nobody says that, right? And that's why we're scared of communication. That's where the fear comes from. So how do we change that? I'll give you all one simple question that will help get rid of your fear of communication. It's a question nobody asks, but it's the question you all need to ask. The question is, How would the world change if I was an exceptional communicator? How would the world change if I was an exceptional communicator? If we start to ask that question, that is when the fear will start to go away, because the hope piece, the reason why we want to master will be much clearer, and that's how we defeat the fear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brandon, for answering that. And I hope, Liza, this answered your question. So let's come to another question. So, Brandon, are you on the questions tab? Can you please read out the question, because uh, I'm not able to see on my screen. There's some problem with live storm on my screen.
You're good. No worries, Robin. I got it. So Elaine asks, Miss Velasco, good to connect with you. She says, how can we break away from the fear of public speaking? So same thing, Elaine. Just ask yourself the question, how would the world change if I was an exceptional communicator? I think it's through those conversations that we start to understand the following. The fear will always be there. It's never going to go away. Like today, I was presenting and I burped a couple of times. I sneezed a couple of times. Like, it happens, right? That's life. Life goes on. But the difference is that your message needs to be more important than the fear. If what you have to share with the world is more important than the fear that is associated to it, your message will always beat your fear. That's what I teach my clients all the time. Is when you go through that framework and you understand what your message is and what your fear is, yeah, sure, your fear will be there, but your fear will always lose to the message. And as long as you know what the message is, you'll always be successful. That would be the fear. Okay, next person. Lara. How do we prevent voice tracking? Lara, I probably need a clarification on what voice tracking means. So feel free to just post up that clarification. I'm happy to jump in. Feel free to keep posting up your questions, everyone. It's in the question time. I still got another 15 minutes here, so I'm happy to keep answering questions. And also feel free to check out my YouTube channel, MasterTalk, as well. A lot of those questions are answered in videos too, so you'll get a lot more detailed of a response too, and it's all free. So check that out. Ron,
So Shamvi, if you can, sorry to interrupt. Shamvi, if you can hear us, can you post Brandon YouTube channel in the chat section?
Yeah, I can do that too, actually.
Yeah, she will do it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Oh, she'll do it? Okay, cool. That's fine. All right, so let's keep going with the questions here. Let's go to Christian. Sometimes when the nerves kick in, your mind gets clouded. What tips can you give to prevent this from happening, or reclaim yourself and get to the point of your message? Great question, Christian. It's a simple answer, okay? The biggest issue with most speakers is they keep presenting new topics. So let's say you take a Tony Robbins. I'm sure everyone in this room knows who Tony Robbins is, or Gary Vaynerchuk. It's all the same thing. Brene Brown. They present the same thing 200 times. They don't present different speeches. Gary Vaynerchuk, his speech is always the same. It sounds like this. Hey guys, grew up in the Soviet Union, came to the States and built a business. Do you have any questions for me? It's always the same thing. But that's why he's such a good communicator. So the reason why most of us aren't good is because we're not willing to present one thing 100 times. Think of any skill you want to learn. Let's say you want to learn how to play the piano. You know, the instrument or any instrument. It's a lot easier for you to learn an instrument if you practice one song 100 times versus 100 different songs. Right? So same analogy applies for public speaking. My keynote I gave to you today. Do you know how many times I presented that keynote? That same keynote? 300 times. That's why it sounds good. Even if I see nobody on the screen, like I literally see nobody on the screen. So there's no interaction, but I still show up with a lot of energy because I've just done it like clockwork. So I just imagine those people on the other side of the screen. I just go, perfect. I'm just going to present like it's a keynote. Like these 110 people were in the same room as me. So that's my advice, Christian, and all of you, is figure out what the repeatable presentation is. What's one topic that you can present 100 times that will make you exceptional really quickly? In the same way that when you're cooking, you cook the vegetables, you're cutting them. First time, you don't know, you might cut yourself. But after 100 times of cutting the same damn celery or the same tomatoes, you'll know how to cut these tomatoes. Same thing. Let's go to Angelica. Angelica's asking, do you prefer practicing what you're about to say before a speech, or do you prefer letting it out in a more natural way? I would say both, Angelica. I don't think there's a right answer here. But I do think that if you have one presentation and you present that a lot of times, it'll naturally come out in a way that's natural. So like here today, I've presented this speech 300 times, but it comes up really natural because I just know when to pause, I know when to do this, I know when to do that. So I would say just figure out one presentation that you're really good at, and then over time it will come out naturally for what you want to share. Great question. Let's keep it rolling. I just want to roll through all the questions. And by the way, if you have any questions and I can't get to you, because I know I got to drop soon, feel free to just message me on Instagram. Message me, send me a message, tell me what you thought on Instagram at Master Your Talk. I'll answer every single DM, so don't be shy to message me. Rachel asks, what are your tips when it comes to spontaneous public speaking? Having no preparation, no clue on how to proceed your talk. Great question. So the way that this works, Rachel, is very simple. I'll give you a quick strategy. It's called the random word exercise. You pick a random word, any word, and you create a random presentation out of it. Simple. So I'll give you a quick example. Robin, you want to give me a quick word? Just give me any word. Pick anything.
Brenden, can you please repeat?
Yeah, give me a word. Like, give me any word.
Any word.
Like, pick
Any word you can say. Mouse.
Mouse. Okay. So with the mouse, now I need to create a presentation of thin air. So Robin did not give me the word mouse before this presentation. So now look how it sounds. Every day, we're always playing a game of cat and mice. Are you the person who's doing the chasing? Are you the cat? Or are you the mice that's always getting caught? That's always getting chased down. That's always being followed. That's always being caught. So the next time you wake up, ask yourself, do you want to be the mouse? Or do you want to be the cat? Do you want to be the person who leads life to the fullest? The person who makes decisions, who controls what they want to do in life? Or do you want to be the person who's always getting caught? So I ask you all today, don't be the mouse. Be the cat. Meow. So you know what I just did? Random word exercise. Robin just gave me a random word, but I've done that word. I've done this exercise 3,000 times, right? That's why I'm really good at it. You don't need to be an expert like me. This is what I teach my clients to do. 5 minutes a day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick 5 random words. Do them every day. If you do them for a year, you'll have done the exercise 1,500 times, right? That's the advice. That's how you master spontaneous speeches, is make them a muscle. It's like going to a gym. Work on it every day, 5 minutes a day, and then you'll sound like me. Pretty easy. Ezekiel, how do you avoid monotone type of delivery? I'll give you the easiest example. It's simple, man. Get feedback. Have somebody, whether it's a coach, whether it's your friend, have somebody tell you that you're monotone. When I started doing virtual presentations, I sucked. I sounded like this. Hi, everyone. Today is presentation time. And like, it was really weird for me because there's nobody on the screen. I can't talk to anybody like I do in my live workshops. So how do you avoid this? Have other people go, hey, Ezekiel, this is not working, right? Let's change your tone. Let me give you feedback. Record something for me and work on it. Super simple. Watch your tone and watch other speakers and try and copy the way that they speak. So notice I can get really, really high, but I can also get really, really low. So that's practice, right? You work on different vocal tones, and then over time, you'll find something that works for you. Jenna Lynn asks, any tips on how to make nervousness less noticeable and not noticeable at all? I think for me, Jenna Lynn, it's really presenting the same thing 100 times. You know, the first time when you present something, you're always going to be nervous. But if you present it 100 times, I think you'll be a lot less nervous. And it just won't show as much anymore. Because you'll just know what you're talking about. Or you'll just know what you're doing. And then over time, you'll become a master of what you want to do. It's a great question. Let's go to Perlita. Perlita asks, how can you speak confidently even if you're not fluent speaking in English? Okay, I'll give you the secret sauce because I speak 3 languages. Right? I speak English, French, and Tamil. But I keynote in French. I give presentations in French too, even if it's not my first language. What's the secret? I'll give you guys 3-part framework. I have a video on this on my YouTube channel that you can check out. Just type MasterTalk second language. MasterTalk second language. But I'll give you the 3-part framework now. Number 1 is write the speech in your first language. Write the speech in your first language. Okay? Your first language is the one you understand the culture in. So let's say you're someone from India and your first language is Hindi, it's Telugu, right? It's Gujarat, it doesn't matter. Same thing if you're in China. If it's Mandarin, I don't care, right? Japanese, write it in that first language because that's the language you're good at. Then translate it into the language you need to speak it in. So let's say English is your second language and Hindi is your first language. Write it in Hindi, translate it to English, and then present the script in English to native speakers. So go to somebody whose first language is English and say, correct my vocabulary. If you do these 3 things, you'll be super good. That's what I did. I struggled a lot in French, so I wrote it in English first, translated them to French, and then I would present them to native speakers who speak French, who live in Montreal, and they correct me on the vocabulary. That's the secret. Great question. Joanne asks, how do you manage your pronunciation without murmurs and trembles? Is there any practice or tips you'd recommend to overcome such problem? Simple answer, Joanne, do the harder thing. Do the harder thing. So for me, the way I overcame my tremble is I started karaokeing. I just sing languages. I just have fun with it. I'm not a good singer. But what this does is it takes you out of your comfort zone. If you can start to present in languages you don't know. So I'll give you an example right now. I'll start switching languages. So let's say I do Italian. Buongiorno, come stai? Molto bene, Eli. Let's say I did Japanese. Ohayo gozaimasu, genki desu ka? Korean, naseyo, right? English, right? And then French, bonjour, comment allez-vous? Notice how I just switched 5 different languages? I don't speak most of these languages, but because I'm willing to try to pronounce those words, because I'm willing to go out of my comfort zone, it's much easier for me to pronounce my words in my first language. So practice pronouncing words in languages you don't understand, and then bring those lessons back into the languages you need to present them in. Super simple. Klein asks, what do you love about the art of communication? What career mistake has given you the big lesson? Was your first win that made you confident about doing the right thing? What I love about communication, it's the catalyst for ideas. If you have an idea and you're amazing at communication, you'll reach 1,000 times more people. That's the thing what I love about communication. That's the thing. It's not easy, but if you master it, you could give presentations like me. Designhill will want you to come give a presentation for the 200 people, and that's the magic of communication. If you're not good at public speaking, you can't talk to 100 people. You can talk to 1 person, 2 people, 5 people. But if you're a master at communication, you can talk to 100. All great leaders know how to communicate properly, except maybe Elon Musk. But we give Elon a pass because he's done a lot of great things with his life. But most of us, we need to be exceptional communicators. So learn it, prioritize it, invest in it so that you can get really good at it. What was your best win that made you confident doing the right thing? So I used to do this professionally as competitions client. That's how I got really good at communication. But you can message me on Instagram. I can give you the full story on that as well. Milton asks, how to put over a persuasive speech without sounding persuasive? That's a weird question, Milton. I don't really understand you being there. But what I would say is the way to be persuasive is to talk to your audience. Understand what your message is. Have dinner with the people you want to speak to. Look at Designhill. They've built something really incredible here, right? So they, instead of making their commercials boring, they make them fun. They make them interesting, right? So that you want to buy their services. I think it's the same thing, right? I think understanding who you want to speak to is essential. Having dinner with them, asking them questions. Here's a great question. If you were to explain your idea back to me, or my idea back to me, how would you explain it? Does everyone understand what I do? Does everyone understand what MasterTalk is? And if they don't, it's my fault, not yours, right? So same thing, have dinner conversation. Paul asks, how to be effective when reading from a script that was prepared from prior, presented 100 times, and get feedback from people who aren't afraid to tell you where you're boring. Gerald, I'm going to speed through these a couple because I want to get to everyone. Gerald asks, any tips in terms of audience lack of attention towards your speech? It's always the core issue, Gerald. You're not presenting the same speech 100 times. You can't expect your audience to be interested in what you have to say if you haven't presented the speech at least 10 times. Think about it, guys. Let me add more clarity here. Let's say you give a school presentation. You only present it one time. And the reason you only present it one time is because you have to move on to the next school presentation. Same thing at work. You have a status meeting, a boardroom meeting. That's why I tell clients all the time, you cannot master communication in the boardroom because you're always changing your topics. That's why you won't get good. You need to master one topic and get really good at that topic. That's the key. How to not be afraid of communication. I already answered that one, Naldo, but I have a YouTube video you can check out as well. What should you do if you forget a part of your speech and you don't want to do ums and ahs? Should we take a big pause or try to cover part of the story? Absolutely, Julian. I think the key is mistakes are going to happen. I made a bunch of mistakes in today's presentation. A bunch, right? I sneezed. I yawned by accident. Like, I made a bunch of mistakes. Nobody cares. There's still 100 people on this call. They still want to listen to what I have to say. It doesn't really matter. I think what matters is let's focus on what is the core message. What is the idea you want to share? And let's share that a couple of more times. And that way, you'll start to find public speaking fun. You'll start to get a lot of joy from it. Because a lot of us find public speaking really daunting. Whereas me, it's like, this is fun. Like, let's figure out different ways to make this more interesting. Oh, I've never been to a Designhill conference. Maybe this is going to be different. Oh, there's somebody who's like meeting me 10 minutes before. Interesting. Right? So it's always new dynamics. So you got to start to fall in love with that process. Any advice on how to do stage fright? Okay, no, I think we already solved that one too. Okay, cool. I think we went through everything. Any other questions from the team? I still have 3 more minutes here, so feel free to just ask me. But once again, I answer all of my questions on the YouTube channel. If there's anything you need, there's probably an answer there. And you can also message me on Instagram too. I can leave my handle, so you can DM me as well if you have any questions. Master, let me just write that. Master your talk, Instagram.
Brenden, let's take a couple of questions more because we are really short by time, and then we are good to go to end this event.
Sure. Let's go to Carrie. Let's go to Carrie and Elaine for the last 2 questions. We can go ahead and end it. Elaine, great question. What's just more important, content or delivery? Okay, I'll give you the answer. Think about it. Think about all of your high school teachers. How much do you actually remember from high school? Probably not a lot, right? Was the issue content or delivery? Probably not content. Most high school teachers have bachelor's degrees, have master's degrees. They're very educated. Content's not the problem. If 1% of your content is good, you need to spend 99% figuring out how to deliver it. You can have the best content in the world, but if nobody retains anything, nobody remembers anything, nobody takes action on anything that you're saying, then what was the point in giving the presentation in the first place? Right? Understand that delivery is the key. Delivery is what allows you to share an idea, to share a message in a way that people want to hear it. That's my take. Carrie, is there any truth to the claim that in order to Is there any truth to the claim that in order to relieve nervous Carrie, it's because he basically says by imagining your audience naked. That's the reason why I created MasterTalk, because there's a lot of BS advice out there that I don't really like, that isn't very good, right? And that's definitely not good advice. I think the advice is simple. And we can close on this. Have dinner with the person you want to serve. Understand who you want to help. Is it a 5-year-old girl? Is it a 50-year-old man? What profession do they have? What do they dream about? What are they scared of? What do they aspire to be? Figure out who that person is. And then figure out what message do I want to share with that person. Simple. If you do those 2 things, you'll be successful and you'll be an incredible communicator. Thanks so much for having me, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here.
All right. So this brings us to the end of this wonderful session with Brenden. And this was indeed a value-packed session. Although, guys, there is a lot more that we could have learned. Unfortunately, we are limited by time here. And I hope you guys loved the session. Once again, I would like to thank you, Branden, for taking out time to be a part of this event.
Thank you, man. Lots of professionalism here. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more in the future.
All right, guys, this is not where it ends. We have a lot more events lined up for you in the coming days. So if you guys are interested and haven't registered yet, I am putting the link of our event section in the chat section where you can find all of our upcoming events and register. And to stay updated with events like these, you can follow us on Instagram. You can also give us suggestions of the topic you would like us to cover and speakers you want us to host. I'm dropping the link of our Instagram page in the chat section here. And to watch this session and other such wonderful events, subscribe to our event section on designhill.com/events or visit our official YouTube channel, Designhill. You can find the link on the chat section. And for all the designers and artists who are listening to this and wish to be a part of thriving design community, visit designhill.com. Also, we have launched some cool design challenges which are worth $5,000. Any designer and non-designer can be a part of it and create some awesome designs using our DIY design tool called Designhill Studio. Visit designhill.com/studio/challenges and check more about it. And lastly, guys, use coupon code PSBK15 to avail 15% discount on print shop. This is valid till 14th of May 2021. On that note, I would like to say bye to everyone who joined us here today. Take care, guys, and stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Brenden. Have a nice day.
You too, Robin. Thanks so much.